Okay.
Welcome everyone to our first virtual Sunday school meeting. We're really excited that you can all join us and watch our first lesson, which is the story of God's creation. Father Marshall is here to tell us the story, and Mrs. Brown is here to show us a little craft to go along with the story. And we're really excited to have you all here with us today. Father Marshall, would you like to tell us the story of God's creation?
I would be so happy to. And I'm actually using a bit of a crib sheet because my great grandfather's Sunday school Bible is one I have. And this being Sunday school, I thought I'd use it. And this actually is from the 18th or from the 19th century, right at the end of the 1800s. And it was given to my great grandfather in 1906. So I wanted to share this with you. And it's in old language, which is even more fun. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void. It had no shape, it had nothing. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The language goes on from there, and God says, "Let there be a firmament in the heavens." And God says, "Let there be a division between the earth and the heavens, and let there be divisions between the waters." And that's the second day. And then on the third day, God separates the lights and turns one into the sun and one into the moon, and there are lights in the firmament. And then on the fourth day, and the fifth day, there are animals in the seas. And then finally on the sixth day come animals on the land and human beings. And on the seventh day, God rests. And as we tell the story a lot. We tell the story in the midst of Christmas. We tell the story in the midst of the great vigil of Easter. It's a reminder of just where we stand with God, which was God was at the very beginning with us. God has been with us the whole time. God is the very thing, the voice, the love that called us all into being. And then we're all a part of this big universe, this big world. So I love this story for the fact that we have these incredible gifts of creation that we get to hear about from God's hand. One of the things that I always get asked is, did it only take 1 week to create the world? And I always tell kids when they ask me this, that really you have to remember that this is a song, it's a poem, it's a story. It really tells us the why, not so much the how. Why are we here? And why is the sky blue? And why do the winds blow? And why is there rain? And why are animals, moving through the world and being born and living and dying, and new animals come? And what about us? What's our place in it? And that's the story of creation and how they seek to tell it. So I love this story. This is a great story to hear. So thank you for asking me to tell it.
You're welcome. Mrs. Brown, was there a part of the story that you really enjoyed?
Well, I would say that my favorite day would be the day that God created animals and people, because I love all kinds of animals and I love all kinds of people.
That's great, Ms. Brown. Me too. How about you, Father Marshall?
Well, when I was a little kid, I loved going outside at night and looking up at the night sky and seeing the stars and the planets and the moon. And that reminded me just how big the universe was, but also how beautiful it was to look at. And this time of year, especially as the constellations shift in the sky, I always look for Orion and Orion's belt. That always reminds me that we're moving into wintertime. And I learned that when I was a little kid. And I just think about, so my favorite day is the firmaments, that day when the lights are set in the sky, when the sun and the moon are placed and named, and that sense of the connection that we have on our earth to the wider heavens is affirmed. I love that day. How about you?
My favorite part of the story is something that God told people when he created the first people on earth. And he told them that it was our job to take care of all of his beautiful creations, all of the animals and plants and the land, the sea and the sky. He asked us if we would take care of everything, all of the beautiful things he created. So I try to think about that, and I think it's something we all should think about. What are the different ways that we can make sure that we take care of all the wonderful things that God created? There are so many ways to do that.
I was, you know, when you say that, I was thinking that it reminds me that we're getting ready to take up our garden in the back. And actually, when we did Bible O'Clock, you guys actually helped me plant my garden. The beets and the carrots are ready to get harvested, and they've become mature. Some of them have even started to go to seed. And on top of that, the tomatoes are done, so all that needs to come up and out. And we need to turn and get the soil ready to plant garlic for next year. We're already thinking about next year, even in the fall, for the growing season. But the other thing that I think about is I'm excited to put out our bird feeders. And to feed the birds, because as the forage in our backyard starts to wane, as the sunflowers die back and the seeds become scarce, it's time to feed the birds and make sure that they have enough food for the winter.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing to do. And that's something that all of you can do, is to feed some of the animals with your bird seed and take care of the plants. So look out in your backyard and see what you can do to help take care of God's creatures and land. Now we're going to turn it over to Mrs. Brown, because she has a fun craft for you to show you the different days of God's creation.
Yep. Hi, everyone. We're going to do a Days of Creation craft. I'm going to show you what mine looks like. It's a world, and we have this little template. We're going to put the link down below for you to access it, but I'll show you everything you need for your craft. So first, you need either a white piece of paper or some cardstock. Then you're going to need to print out that template that I talked about before. And again, the link will be down below, but it's on christianpreschoolprinciples.com, and you can just search for the Days of Creation craft, and you'll be able to pull it up that way too. You will need a paper plate. You will need some markers or crayons. You'll need watercolors or any kind of paint that you have at home. You'll need a paintbrush, your glue stick, and your scissors. Now, it's important to note that we don't expect anybody to go out and buy supplies, so try to use what you have at your house and get creative. You know, see what you have in your craft drawer. It doesn't have to be watercolors, it can be acrylic, it doesn't have to be a glue stick, it can be tape, you know, just use what you have at home. So the first step is to use your watercolor and to paint the earth as you see it. Paint it however you think. You need some land and you need some water. Then you're going to make sure that you put that aside to dry. It has to be totally dry before you do the next step. You're going to print out your template, use your crayons or your markers or your colored pencils, whatever you have, and make sure you color each of the days. You can see it starts with Days of Creation, and then like Father Marshall said, we have all the different days, and then God rested. Okay. Then the next step is to use one of the boxes as a guide on the back of your plate. You can just hold it up like this, and then you can put 4 little dots, and then you can connect the lines like this. See that? Okay. And you can fold your plate in half. Just take your scissors, and you're just going to. Okay. Open your plate back up. That's going to make the little window that you put your strip through so that you can see each day. Okay. So now we're going to cut out our strip. And you make sure when you cut it that you just cut vertically along the lines here, leaving a little bit of a margin at the top and the bottom of each side, because we need to connect those strips together. So I'm going to do that really quick.
You're a very good colorer, Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. It was actually very enjoyable for me to do that today. So here's the first one. You see I left a little bit on the top and the bottom. I'm going to do the second strip the same way. Okay, and we just use a little bit of glue. Let me see here. Actually, you know what we can do? We're going to cut the bottom off of the first strip because we need to connect the strips together. I forgot that part. Okay, so we cut that piece off there, and then you're going to use your glue to glue them together here. Okay.
And Mrs. Brown, we can use tape if we don't have glue at home?
You could use tape, you could use, I mean, whatever you have. Regular glue, that's fine. Just whatever can hold those two things together. Okay, so now we have them together like this.
Oh, that's a beautiful strip.
Thank you. And then all you have to do is feed it through the bottom cut of your plate. So, I really cut very straight. Slide that through the bottom, and then we put it through the top slit.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, can everybody see? So we have the days of creation, and then we can
The
slide.
light in the dark, the first day, I see that. What's the next one?
Well, I have the land and the sea.
There you go. You have the waters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the plants and the earth. And
My favorite day, the firmament.
and we have
Birds.
fish and the birds, the sea animals and the air animals, and then we have people and animals, and that's my favorite day. And then God rested.
Oh, perfect.
So this is a great visual that you can use while you're learning this story, because you can just put your little strip on whatever day you're talking about, and then there you go. You can see how it looks with the whole world that God created.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Brown.
Welcome.
I really enjoyed that. It's going to be really exciting to make with my children at home. I can't wait to do that.
We don't have kids in the house, but I'm going to do it.
Good. I'm glad.
Well, thank you. That was great. Well, this is going to be an experiment we're going to try for the next couple weeks to see how it works. And I had a lot of fun. I mean, I hope people enjoy it too, but if I get to hang out with the teachers at Sunday school, I'm counting it a win, guys.
Me too, Father Marshall.
Yeah, same here.
All right. So what's our story next week?
So our story next week, I think, is Cain and Abel.
Oh my, sibling rivalry at its best.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Moffa-Johnson, thank you so much. That has been a blast. And for folks who are watching, we have a whole new playlist now that'll be our Sunday school, and you'll be able to click on it and see those. As well, we'll make sure that we put the link down below. And we're hoping as we do this that we'll actually be able to get it up on the website too. Our new website is up and running, and we can drop videos in so people can watch them. So we're excited about that. So thank you guys, and good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you next week.